Welcome to Marketing and Mindset for Wellness Coaches, the podcast for health coaches and wellness entrepreneurs just like you who are building a business, making the world a healthier place, and designing a first-class life. I'm your host, Kim Foster, MD and certified business coach, and I'm on a mission to help you up-level your strategy and raise your mindset so you can truly thrive and grow your business. Let's get started. Hello, my friend. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I certainly am. It's January at the time of this recording, and I absolutely love the energy of the new year. I've got a number of projects in the works, and there's really nothing that I love more than that. I do love the holidays and Christmas and New Year's Eve, but I also love it when all the decorations get packed away and everything is tidy and decluttered and simplified. And because it's still, cold out, I'm all about getting tucked away inside, beside my fireplace with candles and cozy blankets and slippers and working away on all my fresh projects without that, the hustle and bustle of the holiday season. And I've been kind of practicing a lot of coziness lately. I'm a pretty big fan of the hygge movement. If you know about that, I'm sure you do. Anyway, and I very much love my tea in the afternoons. So I'm really enjoying myself this season. Now, let's get into today's episode because today on the podcast, I want to talk to you about sales. And that's because in my community, I often hear women saying things like, I'm not good at sales, or I hate promoting myself. And if that's something that you've heard yourself saying, now, first of all, I want you to go back and listen to episode 3 of this podcast, which is all about limiting beliefs, because that's all that these kinds of statements are. Big ol' limiting beliefs that are just not serving you and are in fact holding you back. But I get it. I get where this is coming from. Nobody likes being that person, the one who's, like a used car salesman who people avoid at parties and that kind of thing. So I definitely understand. At the same time, if you are building a business for yourself, and I suspect you are if you're listening to this podcast, then you are going to need to sell. So let's talk about how to do this in an authentic way that feels good. In my opinion, sales is really an art. It's something that can be creative, and it's something that can be joyful, and it's also something that can be learned. I don't think of this skill set as, a matter of overcoming objections or closing sales. Yuck, that definitely doesn't feel good to me, and I suspect it doesn't feel good to you either. Instead, I like sales that come from the heart and they're authentic. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So we're going to talk about making sales that are in alignment with who you are and the kind of life and business that you want to lead. Sales that are in alignment with your values. So really, that's the very first step. And in fact, my first tip to help you with sales, and that is to rid yourself of the I'm not good at sales limiting belief. Now, once that's done, let's move on to the next tips. And I have 4 more of them to share with you today. Tip number 2 is to cultivate an abundance mindset. Now, if you listened to my episode on money mindset, that was episode number 5 in this podcast, you heard me talk about a scarcity mindset versus an abundance mindset. So just in brief, you can go around thinking that there are limited amounts of everything, limited money, limited clients, limited opportunities, which means you'll respond to this mindset by trying to grasp and hoard and grab on to whatever you can get your hands on. Or you can cultivate an abundance mindset, which means there's more than enough of everything for everyone, more than enough money, opportunities, and more than enough clients. And when you can really internalize that kind of energy, it will definitely relax you and then release you from the desperation. And this particularly comes into play in sales conversations like discovery calls, that kind of thing. You will be released from that desperate need to close a sale with whatever client you're talking to, who you're talking to on the phone in this discovery call. Because trust me, the last lack or scarcity mindset is a really bad energy to have. People can definitely sense it, they can feel it, and it does not feel good. You will be pushing people away instead of relaxing into the true purpose of the sales conversation, which is really to discover if you're a good fit, to discover what they're struggling with, and all of those kinds of things. And the irony here is that, of course, once you release attachment to the outcome, once you adopt an abundance mindset when you're on a call, you're actually more likely to make the sale. But I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. The main thing here is to be aware of your mindset and your energy and to really cultivate an abundance mindset. Now, I have a client who wasn't getting enough people enrolling in her coaching package, even though she was doing a good job with her marketing and she was getting plenty of discovery calls, actually, maybe 3 a week or so, which is a good number, especially when you have a premium program like she does. And she really only needed 2 or 3 people to say yes each month. So she was starting from a good point. But what we needed to do was figure out where things were going off the rails in her sales calls, where the leaks or the disconnect was happening. So first we worked on getting her mindset right, coming at her sales conversations from a place of abundance instead of a scarcity mindset. So some of the reframes that we worked on were saying things to herself like, if not this client, the next. Or if it's not a yes for this client, I can refer. And just generally having the energy of not having to close everybody. And I have to say, she was skeptical at first, of course, but once she really started practicing this and doing the work on her mindset, sure enough, on her next discovery call, she heard yes. And that started her off on a whole new trajectory of enrolling clients on a regular basis. I also remember when I started adopting this for myself. A while ago, I had a lot of calls that were ending in a no. I had 8 calls in a row that were a no, and I definitely started going into a bit of desperation and disappointment and discouragement until I checked in with myself and did some work to rid myself of that scarcity mindset and started really considering whether I wanted to work with the person I was on the phone with. And the first time I felt that internal no, this person is not for me, it was incredibly liberating. And I knew I had reached a new level of abundance mindset when I happily recommended some different resources for this particular prospect instead of trying with desperation to convince her and me that this could work. And I knew at that point that something really had shifted for me. And then, sure enough, after that, the next 3 calls that I had ended in a yes, in a full payment, in fact. And then things really snowballed from there. It was quite incredible how it happened. And I really believe it was because of that energetic shift for me when I adopted that abundance mindset. Okay, this naturally leads me into tip number 3, which is be the leader on a sales call. Now, this isn't about being bossy or controlling, but it is about setting the tone at the beginning of the call that you are the leader of the call. It's important to frame the call and to take ownership. That creates a container of confidence for potential clients who really are looking for someone that they can trust. So in the beginning, lay the groundwork. Say things like, I want to learn more about you, and I'm excited to learn about you and to see if we're a good match. And then I'll let you know if I can help you and how. And then you're going to ask them, so tell me about your business and what it is that you want to achieve, something like that. As the leader of the call, you need to ask this person really great questions and find out information about them first before sharing details like how much your program costs or which program will help them the most. It's also important to ask questions about their obstacles and ask them about urgency, as in why now, and also asking them about their degree of commitment. And I always like to rate this on a scale of 1 to 10. That's really ideal to really try and quantify that piece. I also like to ask people how they think I can help them. And it's really important to have them say it in their own words. And then ask them, what questions do you have for me? Okay, so moving away from the logistics and practicalities of actual sales calls for just a minute, let's get into tip number 4, which is kind of back to mindset for a minute. when it comes to your marketing and your messaging and promoting yourself, it's important not to think of it as selling and instead come at things from a place of being of service. So that's tip number 4, is to sell to be of service in your promotions and your marketing. So I want you to always have the mindset that you are helping people. You're not forcing yourself on people. You legitimately have something that could help them, and you're just doing your job to share that tool or service with them and show them how it can help them. Now, of course, this requires that you actually believe that you can make a difference, that your service can genuinely help people, but I'm kind of assuming that you do know this and you do believe this. Most health and wellness coaches I talk with have a burning internal sense that they can help people, and it's genuinely frustrating for them that people just aren't seeing it. So believing in your service or product is rarely the problem. That part, you've probably got that down. So it's a very organic thing that springs from that internal confidence that you can help people to just take the next logical step and share your service in an authentic way. But this is where most coaches are their own worst enemy. They shrink back, worried that they're bothering people, that they're being salesy, and all you're doing there is, of course, blocking your success. But also, you're blocking people from having the opportunity to benefit from your service. When you share authentically whatever it is that you've created, if it's a program, a product, or a package, you are being of service to people. You're giving them a chance to purchase from you and work with you, and you need to give them a chance to say yes. And I really mean making the ask here, not as like an afterthought or oh, by the way, but a clear call to action, a simple and direct ask to your potential clients. If you make it too hesitant or reluctant or kind of couched in an apologetic, oh, if it's not too much trouble, if you're adopting that kind of energy, then potential clients are just not going to have the confidence to work with you, or they're not even going to get the message that you want to work with them. So your message needs to be clear, and you need to stand strong in your position of knowing how much value people will get from working with you. It's almost like having a stance that if people don't say yes to you, it doesn't make any sense, because this can help them so much. That's the energy you want to bring when you're making the ask or promoting yourself. So my final tip on the art of sales is that there really is no selling that needs to take place on a sales call if you've really done your job. So when people book a call with you, most of the time they've already made their decision prior to picking up the phone, let's be honest, especially if you've already been putting out content and doing a good job of being visible and sharing what you're all about and what your philosophy is and all that kind of stuff. Typically, they just want to have a one-to-one conversation to check in and see if the way you've been showing up online and on social media is accurate. So if you've really done your job well and been authentic in those places, then they've already decided, and the call can then just be taking care of a few logistic arrangements. And that is a beautiful place to be, to have that excited energy on a call, to have the call be just a matter of confirming details and talking about when to get started. That's the best, and it should definitely be your goal. Now, that said, some people, even though they want to work with you, they want the outcomes that your services promise, and they know they do want these things. At the last second, they can get in their own head about it and start to get kind of cold feet or whatever and start to throw up their own obstacles. We all do this. And this is where you get to be the skillful coach I know you are. This is not about addressing objections in a very sales-centric or closing the sale kind of way. It's really just about helping people get out of their own way. And there are a lot of very skillful ways of going about this, although I think I'm going to save this for a future episode because it's too much to get into now, but I definitely am going to circle back to this topic because it's a very juicy one. But for now, it's enough to know the importance of not needing to sell on a call, and that you can really sidestep all of that selling stuff if you do an excellent job of showing up online or on social media or on your website or your videos or wherever you're focusing your visibility strategies and doing your job of authentically attracting the right people. And then you won't really need to do any selling at all. There won't be any convincing that needs to happen because people will already be totally convinced that they want and need to work with you. Okay, so there you have it. Those are my tips around how to begin to cultivate the art of sales. I hope they were helpful for you. And just remember, as with any art, it takes practice. Nobody is any good at this at the beginning. We're all beginners, lacking in confidence, but by continually putting yourself out there and opening yourself up to those sales opportunities and sales calls, you will get better and better at it. And that begins with trying on a new story about you and sales. So instead of saying non-helpful stories like, I'm terrible at selling myself, start replacing that thought with something more empowering, like becoming good at sales is something I can learn, and I'm on that journey to improving my skills right now. Allow yourself to embrace it and allow yourself to be on that learner's journey and enjoy it. Okay, that's all that I have to talk about today. I hope that you have enjoyed this episode. I really loved diving into it because I love this topic. And if you know somebody who would enjoy this particular podcast episode, maybe a friend or somebody you know who is struggling with sales, I would be so thankful if you would share this episode with them. As you know, it's my mission to help more health and wellness coaches succeed, and you will definitely be helping on that mission if you share this episode with somebody who could benefit. Okay, that's all for today. Have an amazing day, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode and you're keen to keep building your wellness coaching business, let's start by getting you some more clients. You can download my free guide called 3 Ways to Win New Clients This Week. In this 11-page workbook, I walk you through the simple steps to get you new coaching clients. Just 3 easy things that you can do right away. Visit drkimfoster.com/get new clients to download that workbook for free. That's all for today. I will talk to you in the next episode.